Zombies is back, and no matter how many other amazing games I've played, The Last of Us, Marvel Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Zombies is still my favorite game, and now it's back. Treyarch made a blog post last week where they talked about the different new gameplay mechanics they introduced to Zombies, and there are a lot of interesting information here. I'm assuming everyone has a rough idea of what is in the blog post, but I just wanted to talk about some of these gameplay mechanics they introduced and give my thoughts and predictions on it. They made some really good decisions, and they also made some questionable decisions, and I'm just gonna talk about how I feel about each one before the game comes out, and I'll probably make a video after launch to see how right or wrong I was, so let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is that now, for the first time ever, we have an actual progression system in Zombies. When you really think about it, we never really had a progression system in Zombies. The closest thing we had to it was unlocking weapon attachments in Black Ops 3. And when I say a progression system, I don't mean XP. That doesn't count. By progression system, I mean something that adds longevity to the game and makes you want to basically grind. That's another thing that's always been lacking in Zombies. Black Ops 4 tried to incentivize people to grind with the addition of dark matter, but getting 2,000 headshots with every single weapon is not fun. And guess what? I still did it because it's a long-term goal that the game sets out for you. It's basically the end game. And Zombies has never had that, and it's good to see that they're finally doing that with Zombies. Now, it's hard to tell if they've executed it right because the satisfaction you get from progressing in the game is something you feel. So it's hard to tell how well they executed it given the very little information we have right now. But essentially what they've done is that they've made everything permanently upgradable. You have perks, you have skill tiers, and you have field upgrades, and they're all upgradable. And when you play a game of Zombies, you earn raw Ethereum crystals, and you can spend those crystals to unlock and upgrade different items that you have in your arsenal. And that's basically the progression system in a nutshell. I love the idea of having a progression system in Zombies, but it's almost impossible to tell how good it's gonna be because that depends on how difficult the game is and what the upgrades are. And they didn't reveal much about what the upgrades are going to be like. For example, we have 6 perks on launch. We have Juggernog, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, Stamina, Deadshot Daiquiri, and Elemental Pop. The description for Juggernog says that it increases your maximum health by 50, which I'm pretty sure is only one hit if we're going by the Black Ops 4 health system. So I'm assuming Tier 2 is going to allow you to take 2 additional hits, and Tier 3 is going to allow you to take 3 additional hits. Quick Revive reduces the health regen time by 50%, so the Quick Revive in this game is going to be the Black Ops 4 Quick Revive, and I'm assuming Tier 2 of Quick Revive is going to reduce that time by maybe 65%, and Tier 3 it'll be like 80%. So basically every perk has a percentage of something assigned to it, and with every upgrade that percentage goes up a little bit. But I think the OG perks are probably going to be Tier 2 for every perk. So if you have Speed Cola, it increases your reload speed by 15%. The original Speed Cola increases it by 50%. So I think that's what Tier 2 is going to be. I really hope that the original perks are not the last possible tier because that would really suck. The whole point of having an upgradable perk is to make it more exciting, and if we had to grind for hours only to get the same old perks from previous games, that would be terrible. I really hope that's not the case. The only example they're giving us is with a new perk, which is kind of interesting that they decided to do that because it's a new perk, and we don't really have an old version to compare it to. It feels like they're trying to hide something, which is not a good sign. The new perk is called Elemental Pop, and it basically gives you alternate ammo types, so it's really not a new perk. We had a version of this in Infinite Warfare Zombies. It was called Chain Choose, and it was a really good perk, and I hope this new one is as good as that, or at least as good as Black Ops 3's alternate ammo types. So it's really nothing new. So as far as the perks go, they're a little bit boring since we're not really getting a new perk. The description for Tier 1 for Elemental Pop says, equipment damage also has a small chance to apply a random base ammo mod effect. For Tier 2, it reads, reduce ammo mod cooldowns by 20%. And for Tier 3, it reads, when a random ammo mod is applied, it uses your current skill tier instead of the base. So you're going to be able to upgrade ammo mods as well. I'm assuming for some of the perks when it comes to the last tier, in addition to bumping up that percentage number that we talked about, they also add something extra to make them even more exciting. Kind of like the modifiers in Black Ops 4. And if that's the case, that last tier better be really good or else I don't think it's gonna work. The next thing I want to talk about is the new weapon rarity system. In this game, when you hit the mystery box and you get a weapon, that weapon can be either a common, uncommon, rare, epic, or legendary. The higher the rarity, the more damage output and the more attachments you get. So it seems like you don't get to pick your own attachments because the attachments are going to be randomized. The higher the round, the higher your chances are of getting an epic or a legendary. And they said there's a way for you to upgrade a common weapon that you have to the uncommon or the rare version in game, but they didn't explain how all of that is going to work. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to work, especially with Pack-a-Punch, because they didn't mention anything about Pack-a-Punch either. I know there's a sort of secondary currency called salvage, and I think that's what you're gonna use in game to upgrade your weapon to a legendary. They didn't say how that's gonna work with wall buys. The only thing they said was that every time you buy a weapon off the wall, the attachments are gonna be random, which I'm not really a fan of, because the whole point of buying a weapon off the wall is to stay consistent. The only reason you buy a weapon off the wall is because you know exactly what you're getting, and the idea of having randomized attachments on wall weapons just does not sound good to me. The weapon rarity system sounds really exciting on paper, but there's potential for a lot of problems. For example, if you're doing the main Easter egg, you're probably going to want a legendary weapon, and it seems like you can't get a legendary weapon until you get to a reasonably high round. And that could make it really frustrating for you to just burn through the rounds and keep hitting the box. If you are using salvage to upgrade your weapon to a legendary or an epic, then the problem still persists because you get salvage from drops that you get from killing the zombies, and you still have to burn through the rounds to get enough salvage. I really hope I'm wrong, and I hope they balanced it well so that way you don't have to get to round 30 before you can get a half decent weapon. We also have support items now, which are basically score streaks from multiplayer. We have the combat bow, the sentry turret, the war machine, the chopper gunner, and self-revive. And they're also in the mystery box, and that scares me a little bit because it seems like the mystery box is going to be really messy. And if the support items work on a cooldown instead of being a one-time use item, then that might be an issue because you're going to be looking for a specific support item and a specific weapon of a specific rarity. And you have to keep hitting the mystery box until you get all of them, and it'll probably take a lot of mystery box spins to get everything you need because a lot of what you need is going to be in the box. It seems like they are giving us an alternative way to get the support items and the epic or legendary weapons that we want by purchasing them with salvage, and I just hope that system is fair, so we don't have to work extremely hard for a little bit of salvage that can barely upgrade anything. My prediction is going to be that the weapon rarity system is going to be very controversial and divisive, because it's one of those things that's very difficult to get right, and I'll be very surprised and very happy if they get it right. The next semi-controversial topic is custom loadouts. This game is going to allow you to pick any weapon that you want as the starting weapon, and I think that's a terrible idea. World War II zombies tried it, but you couldn't pick just any weapon. The game gave you a bunch of weak weapons to choose from. But in this game, you're going to be able to pick any weapon. Now, whatever weapon you choose is going to be of the lowest rarity, which is the common version of that weapon. So it's going to be the weakest version of that weapon. So it's not like you can choose a legendary weapon as your starting weapon, which is good. But I'm a strong believer in the idea that you should be as weak and as helpless as possible when you start the game. You shouldn't have anything but a pistol, and you should have very low health. That was one of the problems with Black Ops 4. You could choose your starting weapon, you had a specialist, you had elixirs, and you could take up to 4 hits. You were too powerful to begin with. There was very little incentive for you to actually want to set up. If you're really weak in the beginning and you work hard to get set up and become powerful, that's going to make every zombies game more satisfying and more enjoyable to play. The bigger that gap is between how powerful you are in the beginning and how powerful you become at the end of your setup process, the better. And you having an AR to start with is going to close that gap a little bit, and I think it'll do more harm than good. Another thing you have in your custom loadout is a field upgrade, and they're basically equipment that kind of work like the specialists in Black Ops 4. You have them from the beginning, and you kill zombies to charge them. We have Frost Blast, which creates a blast of wind that slows the enemies and deals frost damage. We have Healing Aura, which is used to heal you and your teammates. We have Energy Mine that deals explosive damage. We have Ring of Fire, which allows you to create a ring of fire that boosts damage for you and your teammates and also deals fire damage. And we have Ether Shroud, which allows you to become invisible for 5 seconds. They can also be upgraded, but we don't exactly know how powerful they're gonna be yet. I'm not against the idea of having these in the game, I just think it's a bad idea if you can have them from the start. I think this should be obtainable in-game just like they were in Black Ops 3 as opposed to what they were in Black Ops 4. If you're gonna have something that's gonna make you feel really powerful and it's gonna help save you time and time again, then it only makes sense that you have to earn it. Next, we have armor. So in this game, there's not gonna be a riot shield. Instead, you're gonna have armor. You can get it as a rare drop from the enemies and you can buy it using salvage. When you have armor, you can still take damage, but you take less damage, and your armor can break. There are certain enemies in the game that when killed can drop armor shard, which is used to repair your armor, and whenever you get a carpenter, that repairs the armor as well. It can also be upgraded to additional levels, just like everything else in the game. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, this might be more of a personal preference, but I've never been a fan of armor. I just don't think it's a good idea. You have Juggernaut, you don't need armor. And I just think the shield is much more interesting, because the shield only protects your back, and there are a lot of situations where you can use that characteristic to your advantage, so it creates a lot of interesting gameplay choices as well. For example, you're running away from the zombies, you get hit way too many times, you're now in red screen, and you see a zombie trying to hit you from the side. And since you're in red screen, you will go down if you get hit, so what you can do is quickly turn to the other side and let the zombie hit the shield instead of you. And there are a lot of situations like that, and the shield doesn't 100% make you feel safe because you still have to be able to use it properly to get the best out of it. As opposed to armor, which is just a brain-dead solution. It just gives you more health and that's it. It's boring. I wasn't a fan of it in World War II Zombies and I don't think people are gonna like it in this game either. And again, I really hope I'm wrong. There's also a looting system in this game. Some enemies when killed give you certain drops. The bigger the enemy, the better the loot is gonna be. You can get salvage, armor, tactical, and lethal equipment. Every single piece of equipment is also gonna have an assigned rarity. For example, the frag grenade is an uncommon item and the monkey bomb is considered to be rare. This is not new either. We had this exact system with Infinite Warfare Zombies, where the zombies would drop different types of grenades and cash, and I thought it worked well in that game, so I think it'll pretty much be the same as that, which will be good. There is a ping system now, and by far, the best decision they've made. This is long overdue. You can now ping a location with the left button on your D-pad, which is great, because it eliminates having to have a mic all the time to be able to communicate the most basic of sentences like open the door or here's the pack-a-punch machine, you dumbass. And last but not the least, we have the optional exfil. Basically, at the start of round 10 and every 5 rounds after that, you have the option to go back to the spawn room, press a button on a radio, then a bunch of zombies are gonna swarm you, and if you survive the onslaught, the game ends and you get additional rewards. I've never really been a fan of ending a zombies game. I always thought that the only way to end a zombies game is to die. I was never a fan of game-ending Easter eggs either, but it's never been quite implemented like this. It seems like it's going to be difficult to successfully finish it, so you're forced to take a risk, which is good. And if the game is going to be kind of grindy and the progression system is going to be the main focus, then I think it's a good alternative for the people who don't have a lot of time to continuously get to round 40 every game to be able to get some rewards. And it's also another alternative for the people who don't know or don't want to do the Easter egg. So they can play for 20 rounds and they can do the exfil instead of doing the Easter egg. It depends on whether it's going to be worth it to do it, how difficult it's going to be, and how much it's going to give you in terms of rewards. So I have my doubts about this one and I'm very interested to see how it's going to work and how people are going to respond to it. But my prediction is going to be that it's going to be too difficult to the point where after a while, it's gonna become an afterthought, and not very many people are actually gonna go for it. Overall, I'm keeping my expectations very low because I don't want to be disappointed like I was with Black Ops 4, but it looks promising and I look forward to hopefully being proven wrong on the things that I'm concerned about and to be hopefully proven right on the things that I'm excited about. That is gonna do it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Black Ops Cold War Zombies. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.